Hey guys, what's up? Hello, good evening, kind and patient viewers. We're off to a bit of a late start. Well, I shouldn't say a bit of a late start, it's quite a late start. Thank you for being here. There are 30 persons here anyway, even though we're starting later, getting into report writing. Yeah, report writing is where we're headed this afternoon. Hey, Miss Compton. Guys, I wish there were a very elegant excuse for being late. I overslept. I just woke up. I woke up like 2 minutes ago. You can hear it in my voice, I suppose. I stayed up all night working on the presentation for today for the report writing. Writing the sample and you know double checking, proofreading everything. And then I was like, oh man, I've been up working on this. Now I have like 2 hours until the session. I should get 2 hours rest. That was where I went wrong. I didn't get 2 hours rest. I got 2.5 hours rest, which is dangerous. Dangerous. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for still being here, guys. Um. Oh, thank you, Miss Compton. I take some solace in that. Yeah. I really um ended up oversleeping. I was so exhausted up working on this thing, and I thought I was I was skillful enough to only sleep for 2 hours, but then the body the body did what it needed to do. Anyway, welcome guys. We're still gonna end on time, even though we're starting almost an hour late. So it means it's gonna be a shorter stream. This doesn't need to be 3 hours. We're doing report writing, and I don't have that much material to take us through today. Yeah, good morning, good morning. You can still tell me where you're watching from. Yeah, we have crazy. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. Jalen, yeah. Ashley, as always. Clouds, welcome to the world of CSEC greatness. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, oh man. Golden K. Good to hear. That's good. That's good. Rapid JA from JA. Nice, nice, nice. Jalen watching from Barbados. Miss Compton, you're from St. Lucia. Claude from Cayman. Kyle from Trinidad. It seems we have an international crowd as always. And we have the Carib zoners. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna get started right away since we're off to such a dreadfully late start. I have a few panelists who will be joining me. They have not been prepped on the material because, quite frankly, the material has just been made. Um, we're doing report writing, so I suppose they will be able to, pitch in here and there when necessary, when they can. Perhaps ask and answer questions. Perhaps address some questions that come in from the chat. All right, we have with us Ann Slim. I think their cameras will be off this evening. We have Ann Slim. Welcome, Ann Slim. Thanks for being here again.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Good night, everyone. Yeah.
Nice, 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 nice. We have Ashley coming back. Hey, Ash.
Hi guys.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We have Krishna. Hey, Krishna, what's going on? It's been a little while since you've been here with us.
Yes, sir. I'm here. I'm back.
Back, back, back. And we have Miss Berkeley. Thank you for joining us again, Miss Berkeley.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for having me tonight.
Ah, all right. So we'll go ahead and get started. Yeah, the stream should be made into a the stream will be saved after the fact, and then it will be you'll be able to watch it as a regular video. And just as with all the other streams, I will edit it down and make it into a nice, succinct video, maybe a few days or weeks after the fact, when I get around to it. Yeah. But the best time to be here is now. The best place to be is here. Let's get into report writing. And thank you for your patience and forgiveness for the late start. After an hour or so, my voice will get back to awake, Adam. Even though I'm still really, really tired, I'm still excited for today. Don't get me wrong. Still excited, still ready. We're still getting this done. Report writing is something that has not been covered a lot on YouTube in terms of CSEC English A. I've I've only seen like one or two report writing videos, and I definitely need to give my couple of cents on it. The live will be about 2 hours long, or an hour and a half maybe, because report writing there's not that much to get through today. All right, let's see. This is it. Let's get it started. Report writing for CSEC English A. CSEC English A. Finally, we're at this session. The devil has tried to stop this session. It even got postponed and switched around, and now we're late. All right, report writing, CSEC English A. We're gonna do two things in general today. First, I'll take you through what report writing is, the types of reports there are that you need to be aware of. Then we'll get into looking at a past paper question and a writing sample that I worked on last night. For me it's last night, but for you it would have been this morning. I am in Japan, so there's a wicked time difference. I'm like 13 or 14 hours ahead of you guys. So when I said that I overslept and I got up late, it was actually night. I usually start your evening streams at 7 a.m. my time. So instead of getting up at before 7 a.m., I got up like a bit after 7 a.m. today. That's why I'm rushing. So I haven't been taking like midday naps. It was actually night for me. All right. Let's get it started. Report writing. I'll give you an apology advance if there are any typos or so on. Because yeah, the presentation is a little bit I had to whip it up in the kitchen real fast. Let's put it that way. With 16 came on, all right, I'll have you in bed by 8. Yeah, don't worry, won't be here too long. All right, when writing a report, you must, and panelists, you can interrupt and interject at any time. All right, feel free, please. When writing a report, you must rearrange and restructure given facts in a clear, logical way. That's what the report writing is all about. You're going to get some factual information, time, place, people, events, problems, issues, and you will have some names and dates thrown in, maybe an address, maybe a location. Maybe you will have to supplement that information with more to build out the report and make it sound realistic. But the idea is you're going to take all of this scrambled information and make it into a coherent and concise report that someone else will read to get a formal and comprehensive understanding of what would have happened, right? So you're writing a report on, for example, an incident or something you eyewitnessed, an accident, whatever the case is. You're going to be writing that report. Yeah, that's what report writing is all about. And you have to be prepared to engage in report writing, because this is one of the like top 4 Section B, question types. Right, report writing. Yeah. So typically, the report you write will focus on answering these questions. Usually, you're going to be looking at who did something, or who something was done to, or who something happened to. You're going to look at the persons involved in a particular incident. You have to make that clear. You're going to look at what happened, what were the actions taken, what happened before, during, after the incident. You're going to look at that. You're going to look at where. You need to add some details in terms of where the incident took place, not just a general thing, but yeah, you'll give an address. If that is possible, you'll give you'll just make it specific. If something happened in the backyard of somewhere, you're going to mention that. You're going to be specific as to where something happened, and you're going to need to tell us when something happened. You're going to give us things like times and dates. So in your report, you're looking at factual information. You will not be making up anything. You will not be speculating. You will not be, it's not narrative writing. You're not just writing a story and, dropping in some interesting action scenes. You will not be writing an essay where you will try to persuade anyone of anything. No. You're not going to persuade. You're not going to write your opinion. You're not going to write a story. You're going to get some information, some data, some raw facts, and you're going to put those same facts in the report in order to make it clear and concise and readable. Right? So usually your reports are not super long. They're not as long as your essay and your story. There might be 200 to 250 words thereabout. Right? Yes, this would be paper 2, Innocent Arctic Fox. Paper 2, section B. You might write a report. You may or may not get to write a report. It might be a letter, an email, a notice, but it might also be a report. So we have to be prepared to do that. All right.
Adam, I just want to add something.
Please do.
I don't know if you all hearing me properly. Last time my mic was a bit muffled. You all hearing me? It's better?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, better
Okay.
than last time.
Okay, great. All right, so I just want to touch on the factual information because a lot of time, for me, what I have experienced with students is that they seem to think that facts mean something that is the truth, right?
Hmm.
So I just wanted to touch on that. That facts doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth because remember, this is like creative writing. This is something that you will have to make up on paper. But fact is something that you can prove to be either true or false. So you can make a statement, and once it's a statement that you can prove whether it is the truth or whether it is false, that is a fact. You're making a factual statement. All right. So it does not necessarily have to be the truth. And a lot of times students think that, well, miss is not the truth, so it cannot be a fact. All right. So I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, we have facts that aren't true and truths that aren't facts. Really, if the fact, seeing that it's a fact, just means it can be proven to be true or false. It's something we can check and verify. So if I say I am, I'm a good man, it's not a factual statement because there's no way to prove or disprove that. There's no definitive measure that one can take. If I say I am handsome, it's not a factual statement. Doesn't mean it's true or false. It just means we can't verify. We can't go to a database and check and say, oh, it's true. It's on file. Adam is handsome. If I said Adam is 6 foot 6'9", that's my height. That's a factual statement, even though it's not true. It's factual because somebody can get a tape measure and measure my height and say, nope, you're not 6'9". That's a lie. So it's a factual thing because we can check it, right? So once it's checkable and verifiable, it's factual. So factual doesn't mean true. It just means it can be proven to be true or false. Yes, Miss Compton has it there. Fact can be proven true or false. And yes, I have jail. Guys, check out the channel, now, man. I have videos on everything except report writing. Yeah. All right. Let's keep it flowing. Let's keep it flowing. So these are factual questions. When you're looking at who was there, who did this, who did that, these are factual things. These are things that, for example, a video, a camera could prove, right? The what, the where, the when. We want to stick to factual elements. No, how and why aren't always in a report, right? Not every report will have you telling how something happened or why something happened, because often these call for speculation and assumption, and we're staying away from that kind of stuff in report writing. So your report may cover how something took place if it is within the scope of the report, if it is possible to say how it happened without trying to guess and spell. Same thing for the why. So these may or may not be a part of it, whereas these will definitely be a part of your report. These are like your top four W's. Whereas these might come into play. It just depends on the type of report that you're writing.
So I just want to add as well an example of the type of reports that you would be required to identify the how and why. For instance, an accident report. For accident reporting, let's say the police would have stated that the accident was caused because the driver was drunk. Then you would state this in your report. That's the how the accident occurred.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and
that's the
also why.
why the
Yeah,
accident
why.
occurred. That's the why the accident occurred. All right. So in cases like an incident reporting or accident reporting, you may be required to put the how and why.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Hmm. We're moving fast. We're not playing around. This is not going to be a long stream. So there are many different types of reports, and they might differ slightly in the format and the function. However, generally, the format is going to be quite similar across different types of reports. So when you get a report, you have to figure out what type of report it is before you start planning or writing that report, right? So we're going to look at various types of reports for right now. If you get a report to write in the exam, what type of report will you get? Only CXC knows that for now, but these are some options that they could give you from. You could have to write an informational report, right? This is one type of report. So these reports simply provide information on a specific topic so that others can understand it quickly and clearly. You're reporting, in your report, you're just giving information on a certain topic. These are factual with no room for your own views. We don't care what you think. It's really about, okay, give me information on this particular topic in a report style. So that's a type of report that you may have to write. You may have to write a newspaper report. That's another option, right? These are found in newspapers, and the purpose is to inform the reader about news, like sports or weather investigations. And you will have to write this report. It's going to be on something local or something international. Newspaper report, something like you would see in a newspaper. Read newspapers, read the reports, and see what they're like. See what the language is like. All right, um, you need to have that knowledge base, how to write a newspaper report. Eyewitness report, another favorite, another popular type. The eyewitness report, these are made by persons who saw something with their own two eyes and heard something with their own two ears, felt something with their own skin, right? Usually it's it's um it's a crime or some other incident that would have been eyewitnessed. So if you were a bystander or even if you were a victim, if you were in any way physically there in person, then you would be able to write an eyewitness report. So if you're an eyewitness, you will be asked to provide as many details as possible about what you saw. It's important to note that you will not say, "Oh, I thought this, maybe this is why the person did this," or no, you're not speculating, you're not giving us any guesses, You're not giving us any opinions. You're not giving us any judgment. All you're doing is telling us what you saw, what you heard, what you did, what you felt. Not really emotionally, but if somebody punched you, you can tell them about the punch. So it's really about the incident or the event from your perspective. So you will definitely be using the first person here. I blah blah blah. I saw blah blah blah. I heard blah blah blah. Right? Actually, I have fans in the chat. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, yeah. So that is the eyewitness report.
Adam, I want
Eyewitness.
to add something to the eyewitness report as well.
Yes.
For eyewitness report, um, for instance, let's say you're a witness and you heard, or let's say you heard someone said something. We don't include direct speech in our eyewitness report. So no direct speech. You're gonna have to use indirect speech there for if you are reporting something that someone else said. All right. So even
Yeah.
if you heard it, it's gonna be indirect speech you're gonna have to use here for your
Yeah.
eyewitness report.
Yeah, because it's from your perspective, right? It's not a third person thing like a story.
Said that,
Um
but you're not putting it in any quotations or anything.
mm, right, right. All right. All right. And yeah, that would be hard to do because all right. Anyway, yeah. So let's just take the pieces of advice as we go. Incident report. That's another report type. A formal document that records details of an incident. And usually it's some kind of accident, it's some negative thing, some problem, right? And Miss Berkeley, if you could turn your mic up a little bit. Some persons are saying your volume is a bit low. I'm not sure if a mic can be turned up. I can hear you. I'm using headphones, but maybe those using your regular speakers, it might be a bit low for them.
I will
Yeah,
try, but maybe I can try to speak a little louder. Does this work? Are you hearing me much better?
that's much louder. Yeah, for me anyway.
Yeah, you're using headphones, so it'll be louder for you. Are you hearing
Right,
me
right.
clearer? I'm seeing educators motivate.
That's brilliant, Miss Williamson. Is the voice clearer, guys? Guys, work with me in the chat. Everybody's talking about Ashley. You need to start your own show, all right. All right. So that is the incident report. Investigative report. These are official documents that contain details about ongoing or a closed investigation. And you would include information like, you know, the objective of the investigation, like what is being investigated and why, the allegation details, maybe someone um, is thought to have done something. There are some allegations. You would cover those. Whatever evidence has been gathered or is being gathered, you would cover those, right? And if there are any witness statements, you would involve those. So an investigative report is just a report. We've been looking at all of these have been reports so far, but this time it's focused on an investigation. So you will note all of these reports have the shared focus of presenting factual information for somebody else to read. It's just about what the information is about. And depending on what it is about, the point of view might be a bit different, and how it is presented, the tone might be a little bit different. But it should always be professional anyway. Professional, objective. It's not your opinion. All right. So since I'm moving so quickly, you guys probably need to take quick notes, jot down some stuff, or take screenshots where necessary. All right. Vibe with Wayne. Happy I could help you out. Um, in getting a grade one. That's really good news. Really good news. And yes, guys, let's not get too distracted. All right. See, you've forced Ashley to turn her camera off because you seem to not be focusing on report writing. Yeah. All right, here we go. Progress report. Yeah, so there's always a slim chance that CXC might give you one of these, weird types, not weird, but one of these types of reports to write. So you need to know about all of them, so you're not caught off guard if such a question comes up on the exam. Right. So for the progress report, this is an assessment that takes place during a project, and you're basically giving factual information about how the project is going. What goals have been accomplished, what problems have been encountered, how much time has been spent, all that stuff. Yeah. So that is what the progress report is all about. Yeah. Evaluation report. Right. So while the progress report is about a project that would have been done, the evaluation report is about a project that has been done, and you're evaluating maybe how effective it was and stuff like that. Right. So that's the evaluation report. So you see, there are so many types of reports, right? Statistical report is another example of a kind of report. And these transform data into information, like, paragraph information. So you're going to get some data, like you might get some charts or tables, you're going to get some numbers, and you're going to make sense of the numbers, interpret and analyze the numbers, and then you will be able to write about what the numbers mean. Maybe some product sales have increased over the last year, maybe crime rate has decreased. All of these numbers you get, you're going to make sense of them in continuous prose, in paragraph form. And you might have to talk about like trends over the past 5 years. This has been happening with the numbers. You might focus on irregularities. Oh, but in June there was a spike in sales. Maybe June had a very high number. So you're gonna have to work with numbers, interpret them, and turn numbers into sentences. Pretty much. That is the crux of the statistical report. I've seen one or two statistical report videos on YouTube. So if you want to get into that specifically, I don't have videos on that, but there are videos out there on the statistical report. Yes. So while there are many different types of reports, they typically share a similar format. Right. The format is usually quite similar. And we're going to get into the format from here on. So before we get to specifically the report writing format and looking at a past paper question, any report, oh my gosh, am I still asleep? Any questions from the chat or any additional insights from the panelists before we move on?
No, sir.
I kind of meant questions about report writing, but when will be the next lit live stream? I'm not sure. As soon as possible. I'm not sure when the next lit live stream will be. Tips for I'm going to do a paper 3 live, hopefully. But let's try to keep the papers. Let's try to keep the questions focused on research writing, on report writing, for the moment. Yeah. No questions. No questions. Just want to get this in my head. Yeah. Take notes and take screenshots. That will help you to revise the information. Incident report. What about incident report, Jade? Do you want specifics on that? I think there might be one or two videos on YouTube covering incident report specifically. I'll be going through an incident report today, so you'll be able to see that. That's the example I'm going to work with. Yeah. Oh, you did incident report for your end of term exam. Okay. 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 All right. So welcome, Ajinaya. What's going on? What's up?
So I'm seeing a question. Which type of report is most common? Do you mean the one that is most commonly asked for CSEC?
I guess that's what it might mean.
Right. So the most commonly asked report is incident or accident reporting. That's the simplest one, to be quite honest.
Hmm.
So that's the one we usually see past papers for, not true, Adam?
Yes. Yes. I agree. Hmm. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions, so let's move along. You can ask questions at any
Wait, so I
time
was
there.
asking a question.
Yes, Ajinaya, go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, my mic, my computer just gave me problems. But I was asking you, the statistical writing report would when we have to like talk about graphs and stuff like that, that might be similar to like your persuasive piece when you're talking about like your when you're giving examples from a source or something, and the type or the way in which you write is going to be the same or similar.
No, no, it's not similar to a persuasive piece. For the persuasive piece, you would be the one generating the evidence and the facts. You will be coming up with statistics. For the statistical report, you will be given statistics in the question itself, and you will have to interpret and write about the statistics you're given. You're not persuading anybody of anything. You're simply restructuring raw numbers into words.
Hi,
That
Arjanaya.
sounds. Hello, miss.
Hi. So, good night. So, statistical report, you basically the information, they will give you raw data, like Adam said, and you have to examine it. You have to identify the trend of the of the information that's given to you, right? And you have to show the difference in the trend, the difference in the categories over a particular period of time. Let's say they give you a time period. Maybe they might give you it by years. So over the course of the years, you have to identify the pattern, the trend, whether there was any increase in the data. So let's say, for instance, let's talk about crime because I mean our crime rate is going up. So in terms of a statistical report for crime, we would identify how much the figures was last year compared to 5 years ago. Was there an increase? Was there a decrease? And these are the things that you'll be speaking about in your report. All right. You will be doing comparison of the data, comparison of the years. Like let's say in 2012, the data is basically the same as 2023. That's what they really look for in your statistical report. How well you can analyze and interpret the data. You have to compare it, you have to contrast it, you have to look for trends, you have to look for any increase, any decrease, any fluctuation, if it was consistent. And it's simple, it might sound challenging, but it's simple. And trust me, it's something that you all would have done in mathematics from primary school, right? It's just a
It
little bit
actually
more advanced. Sorry?
it actually sounds too simple to be true because you kind of tell me that I just have to look at statistics and just reword it and
You
interpret
get,
it, and I get
remember,
my
you're just getting
marks.
numbers, eh? You're getting numbers and you're going to have to put it into words.
That sounds okay. Probably I'm missing
Yeah,
something.
it
It sounds
no,
easy.
it is that simple. It's
Yeah.
Wow.
you don't have to overcomplicate it. You will not have to be creative. You just need to have professional academic vocabulary with which to talk about the numbers, and you would have to try to figure out what talking points would be important. For example, if you realize, oh wow, this number is bigger than the rest, obviously you'd want to focus on that. Or in June of 2019, there was an increase in blah blah blah. So you're going to want to have that vocabulary that can talk about how the numbers look on how they flow over time. So words like increase, decrease, fluctuation, numbers going up and down. There was an irregularity. Something looked different there. There was an anomaly. This number is way, way different from everything else. So you will have to be able to pick out like patterns. Like when do we see numbers going down? When do we see numbers going up? When do you see a number jumping up or a number go way down? And when do we see like just tell me about the numbers in English. Tell me in a way where I can understand what the numbers mean. So imagine the person reading the report, they don't know how to read a graph or a spreadsheet. You're going to turn that graph or spreadsheet into a paragraph or a few paragraphs that they can make sense of. They can know what's happening, whether it's in sales, it's a crime rate, tourism, whatever it is. They want to understand what is going on. You have the numbers, you're the numbers guy, they're not a numbers guy. You have to explain it to them in clear professional English. So statistical reports, this is something that's very, very common in the field of business, in the corporate world, right? So your company, imagine you're running a big company, right? You manufacture shoes, and you have like 10 different branches working on different things. You're the CEO. You don't have time to look at every spreadsheet and every blah, blah, blah. So once every couple of months, you call a big meeting and you have your executive give you reports. They show you all the numbers and tell you what the numbers mean. And they say, okay, sales are down 25%, this and this and that and that. So you can get what the information means without having to dig into into the numbers. So you're going to be turning raw data, you're going to be turning numbers into coherent sentences, focusing on things like trends and patterns. So it's not simple, but it does require a certain type of vocabulary to convey that report um, at a higher level, right? All right. Makes sense, Ajnaya?
Yes, sir. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it is simple, but because it's simple, CXT would expect you to deliver it perfectly. So the simpler something is, the less room you have for error. I mean, think about it. If you were to do an advanced calculus test and get like 80%, that would be good. If you do like a grade two, like a second grade, like an 8-year-old math test, we would expect it to get 100% because it's simple. So the simpler something is, the more meticulous you have to be to ensure that it's perfect. So yes, it's simple, but don't underestimate the work you need to put into it. It's still worth all of 30 marks. It's a lot of marks. So let's not underestimate. Um, who would you say statistical report writing is a skill set that can be used in the would you say that statistical report writing is a skill that can be used in the SPA when reflecting on artifacts? Definitely, definitely. Statistical report, knowing how to analyze data and interpret and talk about data properly would help you out, especially since the SBA is a research based project. So you would have like data to work with at some points. Yeah, definitely. Yes, you'll be focusing on these things in your statistical report, increases, decreases, where you have like a moderate rise or a moderate fall, a slight decline, slight increase. So you just have to have that vocabulary in place so you're able to talk about the numbers in a way that makes sense, in a way that's very accurate. Yeah. A statistical report wouldn't come alongside an incident report. I'm not sure if I understand the question, but you're only going to get one type of report to write. So you're either going to get an incident report, an eyewitness report, an investigative report. I'm not sure if we've ever seen a statistical report in terms of past paper, maybe not, but correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Berkeley. I haven't seen any, but it's still something that we have to prepare for because it is a major type of report.
I haven't seen any either. For the papers that I looked at, I did not see any. Mostly
Yeah,
accident and incident reporting.
yeah. But definitely you want to be prepared because who knows, 2024 is off to a weird start. You don't know what type of report you might get if you get a report. So you can't just say, "Oh, I've never seen a statistical report." No need to study that. First time for everything. Yeah. All right. With all that said, um, what is this? So as it relates to CSEC paper 2 in section B, when did they start using the learn? Jade, what is the learn? I would hope all students are learning, but I'm not sure what you are referring to. Does anyone on stream know this acronym? I understand that, Miss Compton. I figured as much. Yeah. Sometimes when students hear something that you've been saying reiterated by somebody else, it you know it sinks in a little bit better. So what is this learn, Jade? I'm curious. It sounds interesting. Okay. Wow. I need to steal that acronym. Letter, email, article, report, notice. So when do you start using the learn? Well, I think the learn would just give you a quick guide to the types of expository pieces that you can expect. So you might get to write a letter, you might have to write an email, it could be an article, could be a report, could be a notice. It could be other things too. You might get a memo. There are a few other things, but I guess these are like the top five. So when you're preparing to write your CSEC exam, you have to know learn. You have to learn. You have to master all of these types of writings. All right. So I suppose if you're doing CSEC in fifth form, you would have to master these or start mastering these from fourth form. Which ones are the most common? These are all common. Don't try to rank them to say, okay, I'll study these more than the rest. Just learn all of these. They're not that hard individually, but of course, there are a number of different formats to get used to practice. But they're all common enough to worry about. Yes, they're all common enough for you to worry about. Mhm. I've seen several letters on past papers. I've seen several emails. I've seen articles. I've seen reports. I've seen notices. I have videos. I already have videos on letter writing, email writing, notice writing. Other persons have videos on YouTube on writing articles, and now we're doing a stream on writing reports. So with all that, you should be good in terms of information available, and that isn't even touching CSEC, like CSEC reports and past papers and stuff like that. So there is information out there on how to write these things. I would suggest you not just go online or go on Chat GPT and type in how to write a letter, because formats vary. You want to write a format that CXC would be anticipating, right? So you want to make sure that the samples you're getting are are in line with the CSEC standards, and make sure you're checking your mark schemes to know how these things would be graded. There are some things called specimen papers where CSEC gives you what a paper would look like and gives you the answers and gives you analyses of the answers. Check those out. They can give you insight into what a letter should look like and stuff like that. Watch my memo video, Tamia. Watch my memo video after this. All right. Is that all so far? Hey, Lionheart. Don't worry, I was late too. Late to my own class. All right. It seems we're able to move on. Yes, let's move on. So, That's like some general information about what report writing is all about and the different types of report that there are. And I'm not sure if that's an exhaustive list, but I think those are the types of reports that would be like the top ones. The top one would be incident or accident report. That's quite common in terms of the past papers, relatively common. So,
And wait, just one more quick question. For the incidents,
mhm,
you just basically have to state what happened using the format that using a format.
yeah, you want to give a detailed report on where it happened, when it happened,
You
who
have to,
was there, all of that stuff.
as Miss said, you have to create details in a sense.
Well, some details might be missing from the question. For example, someone their name isn't mentioned or the date isn't mentioned, so you have to fill in the blanks. But the more important thing is to make sure you incorporate the details the question gives you. Then no, you fill in the blanks in order to make the report complete. For example, you can't have a report with no date or time attached, right? So if that isn't given to you by the question, you invent that.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
the real aim is to make sure you're incorporating all the important points. So you might get some points like in bullet form. You'll have to turn that into a coherent paragraph structure where you're kind of going from beginning to end. You're giving a concise and clear and logical breakdown of the events that would have transpired.
Yes. So basically, I can add on to the details that are given to me, right?
Yeah, only where necessary. You wouldn't just add
Only
random
when necessary.
things, but you add things that would be crucial in a real report, right?
Okay. I guess I'll
So
see
you
an
add,
example.
yeah, man, you're going to see an example of where I chose to add something, right?
Adam, I just want to reply to a question in the chat.
All right.
So do you
Okay, sorry. Keep replying until I come back. I'll be back in about a minute or two. I'll grab my
sure,
charger.
no problem. No problem.
Yes.
All right, so I'm saying, sir, do you use address for the memo? So, Miss Wilson, memos are a bit more informal than a letter. So, for letter writing, you would have to put your address, the address of the sender and the receiver. For memos, it's a little bit more informal than a letter. So you would have things like the name of the sender. Memos are mostly, there are external memos, like public memos, that the company, a particular company that you work with, would want the public to know the information that they want the public to know. So you will have things like the name of the sender, like the person who is doing it, the department or the organization that it comes from, the person that they are addressing. Maybe it might be to the general public, right? And the subject matter. All right. So it's a little bit different from letter writing. Okay. And even though I said it's a bit more informal, you still have to use formal language in your memos. All right. It can't be that you're speaking to someone. It can be a friendly memo. It can't be that you're speaking to someone that you're acquainted with. The language must be respectful. It must be formal. It must be as you're speaking to someone in authority as well. Okay. I hope that answers your question.
Right on time.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right. Anything else in terms of general questions about how to approach a report? No. When are you starting the report? I'm starting right now. What do you mean? All right. Bam. Boy. Bam, bam, bam. All right. Is memo the same as notice? I have a notice video and a memo video. Please watch those. Three-step plan. I like three-step plans. I don't know why. All of my plans have three steps, right? Except the summary writing steps. But I have a three-step plan for how to for what to do before you start writing a report. 3 things you need to do. 1, make sure you read the question carefully. When I say carefully, I mean very carefully. Read everything. Make sure you understand what the report is about, right? Make sure you pay attention to any specific instructions or guidelines given. Make sure you understand exactly what you need to say, what you need to report on. You cannot start writing the report without first having read the question properly. No comprehension for paper 2. Comprehension. No, there are no comprehension questions. Section A is summary. Section B is expository. Section C is story. Section D is argumentative or persuasive. Yeah, no comprehension. Of course, you need comprehension skills for the exam, but there are no comprehension questions. It's you are producing the information. All right. So step 1, read the question carefully. Step 2, identify the purpose and the audience. Right? The purpose and the audience of the report for the report. You have to determine, of course, the purpose as well as who the intended audience is. Who is it that's going to read my report? Is it going to be a principal? Is it going to be my boss? Is it going to be a parent? Is it going to be a manager? Who is going to read my report? Because when you figure out who is going to read your report, that's going to guide your tone and level of formality. When I say level of formality, your report will be formal no matter what. But sometimes the level or vocabulary used might be a little bit different depending on whether you're writing to your boss or a colleague or stuff like that. So just make sure you know who is going to be reading it and make sure you know why the report is written. That's going to affect how the report is written, the language you use. Next step, so you read the question carefully. That's step 1. You identify the purpose and the audience. Step 3, create an outline. Right? I won't tell you exactly how you should create the outline. It's up to you. Practice and find a way that works. But basically, you want to draft a basic structure outlining. Okay, what do I want my introduction to look like? What do I want my body to look like? What do I want my conclusion to look like? So for each section, you're just going to jot down some key points or ideas that you want to cover. So in my intro, I want to mention blah, blah, blah. In my body, I want to mention blah, blah, blah. To conclude, I want to do this. Write down that plan. So when you start writing the report can flow well and you don't end up missing anything. Right? So this will serve as a roadmap, a guide, and ensures that you cover all the necessary aspects without straying off topic. And another pro tip, constantly be checking the question as you write. You're writing, check the question, right? Check the question. It is very, very easy to miss out a piece of information because they're going to give you a lot of information, You're going to get like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 bullet points. So it's easy to miss one. So while you're writing, even though you would have had your outline, still continually check, cross-reference to make sure you're getting everything you need to get in the report. Any other planning tips from the panel or from the chat before we move on?
No, I'm fine with this. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So keep that 3-step planning process in mind, guys. People, I'm setting you up for success. You see the 98 people here, I'm expecting to see the 98 of you comment and say I got a grade 1, later on. I'm giving you the formulas, I'm giving you the tools. Make sure you're taking notes. Don't just listen and watch. Listen, watch, and take notes. Take notes. You're not going to find these notes everywhere. Take notes, guys. Take notes. You're not doing 60 until next year. Yeah, next year is right around the corner, so it's good that you're here from now, soaking it in, because there's so much you need to learn. All right. Report format. Sometimes. I have sometimes because the format can vary a little bit depending on the type of report. But generally, yeah, so that was Anslim last year. Generally, this is what your report will look like in terms of the format. Miss Berkeley, if you want to suggest any adjustments, you can let me know. So at the top left, and we have here your address. Just like with letter, it's a bit similar to letter writing. The address of the reporter, the date, not the date when the incident happened, the date that you're writing the letter, the report. So the date you're dating the report. If you're writing the report on January 4th, the date here should be January 4th, right? And you might not be given a date for when the report would have been written in the question. It doesn't mean you skip out the date. You need a date. And perhaps you might have gotten a date as to when the event happened. So the date you invent must be after the event happened. You can't go back in time. So if there was an incident on January 3rd, the date of the letter can't be January 2nd. That's impossible. You're not a time traveler, right? If you were, you wouldn't be worried about CXC. So make sure that even if you're not given a specific date, make sure the date makes sense if there's some context to think about. And if an incident happened January 1st, I don't think you would be writing a report December, right? The date is usually pretty close to the incident. Usually it's something urgent and important, an accident or something. So the report would be written, in an urgent manner. So make sure you have a date that makes sense. All right. Next, the name and title of the person you're writing the report to, and then that person's address. So you have all of this at the top left as like your header. Then you have the subject or title of the report, underline centered. Subject and title of the report. Subject, accident in Mayfield, blah, blah, whatever the case is. Whatever the report is about, it's going to be succinct. It's like a headline. You're not writing a full sentence. You're not writing a paragraph. You're just read the newspapers and look at newspaper headlines. It's just a headline to alert the reader as to what the report is about, right? Only the most salient information will be in the title. It's just like 6 or 7 words. Okay. Then you have the body of the report, which would be about 3 paragraphs. Intro, body, conclusion. It might be 4 paragraphs. You might have. It depends on what the report is and how much information you need to include. But generally, it's 3 to 4 paragraphs for the body. Generally, right? Because there are so many different types of reports, it's hard to say it's always going to be 3, it's always going to be 4, it's going to be 5. So you have to use common sense when interpreting the question. Cool. After the body, you have your complimentary clause, just as you would have in the letter, your signature, your name, your title at the bottom left. And this would be quite similar to what would be in a letter.
I have a quick question.
Yes, Ajinaya.
Yes, sir. Notwithstanding the fact that you said that the statistics question may not show up, it's unlikely, it's less likely. But however, how are we going to use this information for a statistic question?
Well, this format wouldn't apply like exactly for the statistic report necessarily. This is like a more so remember, the statistical report is not the most general or basic type. So that would require some tweaking for the what do you call that? for the format. This is like the general eyewitness or incident, accident. So this is more general. Whereas for the statistical report, there might be there might be other videos that show a format that you could use, but it wouldn't be vastly different. But you have to read the question and kind of determine what information will be necessary in your structure. This is just a guide that's like, use this as like the general blueprint. But sometimes you watch a recipe and you see they say, adjust to taste. I put this amount of salt, but adjust the salt to your liking. So you can tweak a little bit to suit the question. I,
So
I I don't have specifically a statistical report format to show, but this is a general one that can be adapted to almost any type of report in general.
Ajanaya, just to add to this, this format is for a simple report, right? As Adam is saying, it's for a simple report. In terms of statistical report writing, so tonight we really want to cover like incident or accident reporting, which is one of the most common ones. In terms of statistical report, maybe we can find an outline and send it to you, share it with you. Of course, very detailed so that you'll understand how you can approach it, right? But I realize that you're a little confused. You hear statistical and I don't know, it kind of pique your interest, right? So tonight we just want to cover the basic reporting, sorry, the basic reports, which may be incident or accident reporting. Also,
Yes.
I saw someone commented,
Okay, understood. Thank you.
you're welcome, sir. Someone asked a question, do we skip a line anywhere in the report? Yes, 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 yes. Yes, absolutely. So before the subject and title of the report, you're gonna skip a line there and skip a line after that. But when Adam gets into the report and show you a sample, Adam, you have a sample. You will see exactly where
Yes.
you need to skip lines. Okay.
That's right. That's right. All right. So let's get into the body now. So so this is the general outline. This is what your report will entail from beginning to end. So let's focus on what the body will look like. I like to break things down into different pieces so that you can apply that knowledge to whatever report you have to write. Yeah. I like formulas and formats. So body paragraphs. Your introduction. What does your introductory paragraph do? So the introduction is the first section of the report, right? And it serves as the foundation for what is to come. Here are the key elements of your introduction. Identification of the problem or topic. You need to identify what the problem or topic is in your intro, right? Clearly state what the report will cover. This sets the context and lets the reader know what to expect. The introduction should do all of that. In your intro, you need the 6 W's, or at least 4 of the W's. These are crucial for providing a complete overview of the situation. You will not be adding details in your intro, but we want to get a general overview of what happened. Not just what happened, but the W's. So in your intro, you're going to briefly mention who, identify the main entities involved. These entities could be persons, individuals, they could be organizations, right? You want to make that clear in your intro. You don't want your intro to be finished and we still don't know who was in the accident. That wouldn't be an effective intro. Make sure you talk about the what. Describe what the report is about, right? Be specific about the topic or the issue. Nice. Where? In your intro, from the very beginning, you need to tell us where the issue happened. Good. When? Include the time frame relevant to the data or the events. Be specific with the dates and times. We need to know when something happened in the intro. These are optional, the why and the how. The reason, the purpose behind the report, and stuff like that, how the how the important actions happened. We don't always include the why and the how. And a lot of times the why and how call for speculation, which we want to avoid. But these four are a must. Who, what, where, when. Call them the W's. W, 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 W. And we even have a nice little convenient W in the how. All right. Anything else on this, panelists, before we run along? Any questions from the chat about your introduction and what it is supposed to do? All right, moving on. Your body. What is your body? And when I say body, I mean the body of your body, right? So in the general structure, we have the body, which would be your intro, body, conclusion. So the body of the body now. The body's body. Body's body. The body of an eyewitness or incident report, we're kind of focusing on these for now. Delves into the specifics of what the observer saw. So observer, especially if it's an eyewitness report, right? Incident report, you may be an observer, you may not be an observer. Read the question to determine the POV, the point of view. Now, in your body, keep these points in mind for your body. Sequential narrative. Describe the events as they unfold in the order they occurred. Right? So event A, then event B, then event C, then event D. Maybe in the question they switch these up. In your report, it needs to be chronological. You don't tell me the beginning and then tell me the end and then tell me the middle. Make sure you're going in order of what happens. Very important. Next tip, detailed observations. Include specific details about what was seen and heard. Mention any actions, reactions, and dialogues that are relevant to the incident. You're sticking to relevant information. If something doesn't connect or doesn't matter, you don't need it. Point of view. Keep this in mind. The prompt, the essay prompt, will dictate the perspective you write from. You may need to write in first person, right? If, for example, you're writing from the point of view of a bystander or someone involved in the incident. In some cases, it's more appropriate to write in the third person. So check the prompt and make sure you know what point of view you need to write from. For eyewitness report, it's always first person because you are the one who saw the thing, right? Environment and conditions. Describe the environment in which the incident occurred, including any factors that may have influenced the event. For example, if you're writing about a road accident, you might want to mention, like, what if it was raining and that would have contributed to the accident? You'd want to mention that, right? So mention that, especially if it really connects to the issue at hand. Response to the incident. Mention any actions taken by the observer in response to the incident. This usually you save this for the conclusion though. Like kind of what happened after the incident, like the aftermath. Usually you save this for the conclusion. Right? Could be mentioned in the body, but usually you focus on that in the conclusion. All right. Anything else? Any questions or comments about the body?
Just one comment. Depending on the report that you are asked to write, sometimes you have to give recommendations or suggestions for the report. So that may also be included there.
Yes. Yes. Recommendations or suggestions would definitely lead into your
Conclusion.
conclusion.
Okay, I see you have it.
Right. Yes. 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 So when you conclude, tell what happened after the incident, right? Some persons suggest you restate what happened, like summarize. That's not necessary. Um, just tell me what happened after the incident, if something happened after. And this is where you would include, if necessary, um, suggestions for follow up, if applicable. It's not that every report will require that, but if it makes sense, give us some recommendations that stem from the incident, or some further investigation that needs to be done, actions that need to be taken. You would do that as you conclude. So you will be done. You will be finished with the actual events of the incident, and now it's like, okay, considering the incident, we should do this going forward, for example. All right. Now, in general, throughout the whole report, keep these two tips in mind. You need an objective tone. Keep the language objective and focused on observable facts. Objective, so it's not your opinion. You're not telling me what you think, what you like or dislike. Keep it objective. Keep it focused. Don't start talking about everything else. Stick to the incident and keep it on observable facts. Don't just tell us, oh, I thought the criminal was a very bad person. I disliked his demeanor. No. Just tell us what you saw, what you heard. Tell us what happened. Don't go into any opinions. It's a report. It means you're reporting on something that happened, something that factually happened. Right? What you think about someone isn't factual. What you saw, is more factual. Clarity. Make sure your report is clear and easy to understand. Avoid any ambiguity, meaning we shouldn't read your report and be okay. So did he see it from this angle or that angle? Were there two persons in the fight or three? I'm not sure. Make sure it's clear. It's a report. Make sure it's clear. This is not where you're gonna add in those nice figurative language and the metaphors and add the fancy vocabulary. It's about clarity. It's about stating the facts in a way that is unmistakable. All right. Sorry, you will not feel anything if you practice and study. You will not feel anything. Yes, Miss Berkeley.
I just want to add to the section on clarity. I usually advise my students to use their active voice rather than passive voice because it's stronger, it's clearer, you know. It avoids any room for questions, right? So I usually advise my students, to use their active voice for report writing.
Right. All right. Any other questions so far? Because after this, we're getting right into it, right into an actual report. So I'll give you guys a minute or two to ask questions about everything that would have been said so far. Let's attempt a past paper question. Section B. You have 30 minutes with which to work, right? Study the situation presented below and then complete the task that follows. And this was from what year? January 2023. So very, very recent. Hey, future Adam here. This video is a re-upload because the sample I shared in the original live stream, there was one particularly glaring error in that sample. And so I have redone it. And so now you have a sample to look at that I can consider truly top tier. All right, before we get into the sample itself, let's kind of break down this question and look at the information that we have at our disposal. Your class of 25 fifth form students was involved in an accident during a field trip. Use the following information to write a report of that accident to Mr. Frederick Drayton. principal of Chilton Secondary, Hope Street, Sunday Rio. So immediately we have a point of view that we have to keep in mind. This is my class, right? My fifth form class. So I am a fifth form student. Originally, I kind of misread this as, or I thought I could take the point of view of a teacher, but taking the point of view of a student is actually more accurate here. And that's made clear by one of the bullet points. Anyway, let's not worry about that. So our class of 25, this number is going to be important. Fifth form, we'll have to remember to add that in the report. It's fifth form students, 25 students. It's my class, so I am one of those 25 students. Was involved in an accident, so we're reporting on the accident during a field trip. And we are sending this letter to Mr. Frederick Drayton, who is the principal of my high school, right? So it's going to be a very formal report. Well, any report you get to write at the CSEC level is going to be formal. But since I'm writing to my principal, I have to keep that in mind in terms of the tone and vocabulary I use. So let's look at the details that need to be injected into the report. It's a trip to West India Soft Drinks Bottling Company. So that has to make it in, and that's in Claxtonville. The trip is related to this particular subject, POB. The bus left the school at 9 a.m. There were 2 teachers on board. The teachers were Mr. Jeffries and Mrs. Almando. And there were 2 parents on board, Mr. Charles and Miss Brereton, perhaps. And the bus left the factory at 11:15 p.m. For return to school. Then we get into the accident, the details of the accident. A car came out of this particular junction, ran into the bus. The bus driver's name is Mr. Stanley. The bus driver, Mr. Stanley, swerved and the bus flipped over onto its side. So all of these details will have to make it into my report. This question gives us a lot to work with. The police and ambulance arrived. We have to talk about that. So we will have to invent a couple of details to add some substance to the report. Because since I would have been on the scene, right, I would have been able to see what was happening. So I have to kind of play that role of, being one of the students. Injured students taken to the hospital. We'll have to talk about these persons. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the remaining students met their parents at 5 p.m. So there's a lot of information points that we need to include. It's just about organizing it into cohesive paragraphs. And where necessary, we'll have to fluff it out just a little bit with additional details not given to us here, right? We don't want to add anything that's irrelevant. We're not adding details for the sake of just increasing the word count. We're adding details that would be necessary to create a full report. Because if we're on the scene, we would be able to, observe certain things. So we have to keep that in mind. We're not just adding these details given, but we'll have to add a few other details as well. And we know that it's going to be in continuous prose, so we're not going to be using bullet form as you see here. The response will be assessed on these 4 points. How well it is formatted. We've gone through the report format. How well we select relevant and complete information. And how well we organize and express the information. And we're going to be ordering things chronologically, basically from beginning to end. So the intro is going to give an overview of everything. And then the body is going to go from the top to the end. And of course, stuff like grammar, sentence structure, vocabulary, spelling, all that basic stuff will be a part of our grade as well. All right, so let me show you the report that I wrote. All right, this is it. Let's go line by line. We start with the sender's address. This would be my address here. And it's Grove Street, Bristol Town, St. Anne, Jamaica. Note the address is going from small to big. So 41 Grove Street, that would be just my little street. The town gets a little bit bigger. the parish gets a little bit bigger, and then the country. The address goes from small to big. Then I skip a line and I have the date. So this is sender's address here. And then this is the date. Not the date of the incident, but the date of the report. This is when I would have written the report. Notice I would have skipped a line between my address and the date. I skipped the line again here. And then I have the receiver's address. So this would be the receiver's or recipient's address right here. And we have the information. It's Mr. Frederick Drayton. So we have his name. And then we have his title, principal. And then we have the actual address, which in this case will be the school address. The school, where it is, we got all of that information in the question. And it just makes sense that the school is in the same parish and country that I would be in, right? Since I'm a student at the school. Note that the date here, I made up this date. I wasn't given a date, but I have to add a date, so I made it up. And then I have the salutation, Dear Mr. Drayton, comma, and we have the subject line. Subject, report on the 5th form field trip motor vehicle accident. It's just an overview of, it's just like a topic, right? Just like a title. It's not getting into any details at all. It's not even a complete sentence. It's just a headline. And then we get into the body. By the way, even though you're seeing that I would have skipped lines across paragraphs here, there's no need to actually skip a line when you enter a new paragraph. I just did that for the visuals because otherwise it looks really clunky because this is typed and not handwritten. But in the exam, no need to skip a line when you enter a new paragraph. Now what I'll do is I'll show you the question, the past paper question, and the report side by side, so you can see how all of the details would have been added, into the report. Okay, so we have the report, the question on the left, and on the right we have the report that I wrote. So the subject line makes sense because that's what the report is about. Subject line. Now we get into the introduction. The introductory paragraph should give an overview of the report, and we're going to use at least 4 of those 6 W's. We have to tell what, when, where, and who. All of these details must be in the introductory paragraph. Reading the intro, the principal should get an overview, a broad idea of what the report is going to get into. So let's read it and see what it sounds like. This report details an accident. So this is the what. It's an accident involving my 5th form class. This is the who. While we were on a field trip to the West India Soft Drinks Bottle Company in Clarksonville. This is the where. And sometimes there are multiple wheres and multiple whats and multiple who's. Right. The incident occurred on January 7th involving 25 students. This is the when. And the 25 students, again, that's more who. That's who. Myself included. So, involving 25 students, myself included, just to reiterate the perspective from which the report is written. 2 teachers, that's who again. And I add the teachers' names. That's who. And 2 parent volunteers. And I add their names. That's who. The excursion, which was in connection to our CSEC Principles of Business class, commenced at 9 a.m., at which time we departed from the school. The trip was disrupted by a collision at the Hillaby and Tamju Junction at 1:15 p.m. During the return journey, resulting in injuries to 4 students. That's who. All right, so let me reread the intro now. Now that we have kind of realized where all of these what all of these details are pointing to in terms of the W's. This report details an accident involving my 5th form class while we were on a field trip to the West India Soft Drinks Bottling Company in Claxtonville. The incident occurred on January 17, involving 25 students, myself included, 2 teachers, Mr. Jeffries and Mrs. Armando, and 2 parent volunteers, Mr. Charles and Miss Brereton. The excursion, which was in connection to our CSEC POB class, commenced at 9 a.m., at which time we departed from the school. The trip was disrupted by a collision at the Hillaby and Tamju Junction at 1:15 p.m. during the return journey, resulting in injuries to 4 students. So the intro provides an overview of the entire event without going into too much detail. The body now is going to go into the details from beginning to end. All right, so let's get into the first body paragraph here. We reached Hillaby and Tamju Junction approximately 10 minutes after leaving the factory, at which point a small red car driven by a young man darted out from the junction without warning. In an attempt to avoid a direct collision, our bus driver, Mr. Stanley, swerved sharply, but the sudden maneuver caused the bus to tip and subsequently flip onto its side. So we reached this place about 10 minutes after leaving the factory. Was that given to us in the question? Okay, that wasn't given. So that was something I just invented to add more details. So anything I add, let me highlight in green. At which point, a small red car driven by... So this wasn't given in the prompt, but I would have seen the car, perhaps. I would have seen the driver at some point, right? Whether during the accident or after the fact. So it would be appropriate to add that detail. In an attempt to avoid a direct collision, it didn't say this in the prompt, but it's kind of common sense to include something like that. This would be why the driver would have swerved. So we have a bit of why here. In an attempt to avoid a direct collision, our bus driver, Mr. Stanley, swerved sharply, but the sudden maneuver caused the bus to tip and subsequently flip onto its side. Right? Notice as we go, I'm also using some transitional words to connect the points. Most of the transitions we use in reports will be transitions of time and order, meaning just telling us that, okay, we're moving to the next event, this happened next, that happened first. That's kind of the transitions we're looking for. So let me go through and see what transitions I would have used so far. All right, so this is kind of a transition at which point, showing that one thing started at this immediate moment or immediately after something else. So this happened, and it is at this precise time that something else happened. We have subsequently indicating that because of the swerve, the bus tipped, and because it tipped, eventually it fell onto its side. All right, let's go into the next paragraph. Passers-by immediately contacted the emergency services. It says in the prompt that the police and ambulance arrived, but it doesn't tell us who contacted them, so I added that. After approximately 5 minutes, more added information, the police and ambulance arrived. The students, blah, 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 or we were given those names, sustained injuries and were promptly taken to the hospital for medical attention. The police officers on the scene cordoned off the area for safety and began collecting statements from Mr. Stanley and the driver of the red car. So this would have been new information that I would have invented as well. Meanwhile, we have another nice transition showing that this is happening while that is happening. The remaining paramedics checked the rest of us for injuries. Next paragraph. We're kind of wrapping up now. Our teachers, along with the parent volunteers, did an excellent job keeping the students calm and organized. This would have been made up as well. We were escorted back to the school by another bus arranged by the school administration, and we made our appearance at the school by 5 p.m. So the meeting of the parents by 5 p.m. was given to us by the prompt, but we needed something to flow into that. Right? We couldn't just appear at the school. The scene needs to be set, and the incident needs to sound realistic. Things would have had to happen in between. All right, so the conclusive paragraph, we're done with the incident. We're now dealing with like the aftermath. What do we think about it? What should we do going forward? That's the kind of information. So this entire information would be made up naturally, because the prompt did not give us any aftermath or any recommendations. This is something they expect us to create on our own. The incident was both shocking and eye-opening, highlighting the unpredictability of road travel and the need for constant vigilance. I believe it is crucial for our school to review and strengthen our field trip safety protocols. Moreover, providing support and counseling for those affected by this incident would be greatly beneficial. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I remain available should you require any further details from a student's perspective. Then I close off sincerely, and I actually need my signature. Sincerely, Mary Jane, and my position, which in this case is just fifth form student, Chilton Secondary School. So this would be the salutation, and that's it. You can pause here and look at the prompt side by side with the report, and just try to correlate the two, and cross-reference, cross-check. Let me eliminate all of the annotations so you can have a clear view. All right, so take a look at that, and that is it for this sample. And here you have the report, kind of full screen. You can take a look. You can take a screenshot if you wish. All right, and that's it for this sample. All right, I'm going to share one from a student in Cayman. All right, so this is one example here, right, of the same. Okay, so this is not the fully blocked style. This will be the same report. We have the address. The student would have written the address, line skip, date, and the address goes from small to big. All right, that's the student's address, and then we move on to the address of the, what do you call it now? The school. All right, Mr. Frederick. Dear Mr. Dayton, we have same as subject, motor vehicle accident during field trip. I am writing to inform you of the details of a motor vehicle accident that occurred while my CSEC POB class was on a field trip. On March 14th, 2023, my CSEC POB class of 25 fifth form students went on a field trip to West India Soft Drinks Bottling Company in Claxtonville. We were accompanied by 2 teachers with the names and 2 parents and the names. The bus left the school at 9 a.m. So the intro tells us what the accident, tells us where. It tells us when, the date. It doesn't tell us the time, but it tells us the date. So yeah, we're getting that critical information in the intro there. After getting to see the operations of the factory and having lunch, so a few details added. The bus left the factory at 1:15 p.m. for return to school. While on the way to school, a car came out of the blah 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 junction and ran into the bus. The bus driver, Mr. Stanley, swerved and the bus flipped over on its side. An onlooking pedestrian, name included, called the police and ambulance. So that was also an invented piece of information. 5 minutes later, the police and ambulance arrived. The ambulance took injured students and the names to the hospital. The police along with four nearby persons, transported the remaining students and parents to school. We arrived at school at 5 p.m. Parents then took their children home from school. These are the details of the motor vehicle accident that occurred. Yours sincerely, and that name. All right. So I think this is a good report, a good sample here. Uh, so it's a bit different from mine. The perspective is better than mine because this
Wait,
is from the
wait.
perspective
So,
of a
so,
student.
so I find why did you say good? Why didn't you say perfect? Why wasn't it perfect?
It's probably I haven't analyzed it that deeply, but it's definitely yeah, it's probably perfect. It's
Okay,
probably perfect. Yeah, it's probably
okay.
perfect. Yeah, I would have added signature and who I would like, for example, fifth form student here at the year sincerely. This full name, signature, title if necessary. That's what I would add here for the year sincerely. But in terms of the format, yeah, it's on point. Format is on point. We have the two addresses, we have the date, we have the salutation, we have the re, and we have an introduction that gives us the W's. We have three body paragraphs that add the necessary details. So yeah, pretty much perfect. This is what we would be expected to do. And since this is handwritten as your report will be, we see the indentations and not the line skips. The line skipping and non indentation is that happens when you type. When you're handwriting the report in the exam, please indent and not skip lines. You only need to skip lines when you're going to a different part of the format. For example, from the address to the date to the address to the salutation to the re to the body. That's where you have the line skips. All right. And someone
Wait,
says avoid
I
personal pronouns, but in this report, you would be involved, so it would be fine to say that um, it would be fine to kind of mention yourself as an involved party because you will be involved in this accident.
I find it's a really good essay, but I don't believe that that was done on the exam conditions because of one reason, because of the fact that that line is too straight to be written, to be drawn just by your hand. You had to add a ruler for that, and what?
And
And
in
you're not going to bring
exams,
a
you have
ruler
rulers.
for an
Yeah,
English.
you can take rulers
Yes.
into any exam,
For
I think.
English,
Yes, you can.
that's so peculiar.
It's
That
not. I mean, it's not weird. All right, let me share the other one. I wish I had started with these samples. These samples are pretty good. These samples are excellent. All right, all right. So we start here with um, the address, right? Date after a line skip, and the other address. And this sample is from um, I think this sample is from Sarah Medina, and these students are from the Clifton Hunter High School, right? Samples coming in from their teacher. So we have both addresses and the date in the middle. Sender's address, date, receiver's address. The addresses are complete. Dear Mrs. Wright. Okay, this isn't answering the same question, but we can look at the format though, right? It's answering a different question, but it doesn't matter. Let's just look at the format and the type of information included. Car accident at the Archal Junction. Yeah, I think for the subject line, we could capitalize all of the important words. I am writing to talk about this thing. I'm writing to report the accident. So we have the what that occurred on Saturday, January 2. We have the when. At the Archal Junction, we have the where. All right. Pertinent information. First paragraph at approximately that time, standing at a bus stop. might be an eyewitness report, and I saw see the details of the car stopped to allow an elderly woman to cross the street. Behind the Suzuki was the driver of a Toyota Corolla. So we have license plate number. We have lots of details. I was unaware. Yeah, so many important details coming in. Due to the collision of both vehicles, the rear park lights of the Suzuki Swift were shattered and the bumper was dented. So we have details in talking about the extent of the accident. Very descriptive, the bumper was hanging loosely. I later found out that the name of the driver was, so we have their name. So detail oriented, right? The report sounds realistic because of the level of detail.
It would have been rather interesting to see the actual prompt, to see the details, to see what what that person would have included for extra details and what was actually there already.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
did see
yeah.
the let me
We did.
We
We didn't check this prompt.
Yeah, we
I
didn't see this
yeah.
from. Actually, I've not been listening, eh?
Come on, Ajanaya.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Yeah. I'm not seeing the end of this one though. Go to back. I can't flip the page. All right, but yeah, definitely we see in terms of the format, we see all of the relevant pieces of the format, right? We see the addresses, the date, we see the type of language used, the kind of details included. That would be what they would expect for a report. And we don't see any speculation. We don't see the person sharing their own opinion on anything. It's really a matter of this is what happened, these are the details. So that's what you want to do in your report. Yeah. And
So
the,
I find
hold on a second, Ajna. I just got the prompt. The teacher sending me this stuff is actually, watching the stream live, so they're able to respond in real time. And somebody just mentioned it would be good seeing the prompt, and he managed to just send the prompt immediately. All right. Let me let me show the prompt. Da, da. All right, I just got an updated prompt, a clearer picture, I guess. So let me use. All right, just a moment. All right. Ta-da! So this would have been the prompt. This I know this paper. This question. The Road Safety Association has expressed concerns about the increase in the number of traffic accidents as yet another accident occurred on Okay, so the details about the cars would have been included in the question. Yeah, a number of details were included, but the student would have included additional details to enhance the flow of the report. Right, and
I
essay
don't
to
know
the
if
same
it's
message, right?
I don't know if it's just me, but to me the details given looks like it's in chronological order, which is
Yeah, so that's very helpful for
yeah,
you.
yeah. Just
Yeah.
copy and paste and just add in a little bit more
Don't,
information here and
don't
there.
copy and paste. No, no.
No, I
Yeah.
with a little bit of adjusting.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a kind prompt. We get seems we have the chronological order, which means you just have to express this, in a formal way in paragraphs. So yeah, with permission, I'll try to share these as posts on the channel, and I'll try to make an updated video. It won't be a live stream, perhaps, of my rewritten thing with with a student perspective, so you can look at that sample as well. Yeah, but for now, I am kind of on the clock here. We'll kind of have to call it a day. I hope the idea of what report writing is has become much clearer in terms of the format, what you need to put on the page, what your intro needs to do, how you plan. All of that stuff is what I want you to get from this, right? I want you to understand that these are the different parts of the simple report, and you can't miss any steps.